of March, the year 2021. We're getting into a conversation now about athletics, and this is because of information that came through on Wednesday. It was a one-paragraph statement that was made by the Confederation of African Athletics that the Africa Cross Country Championships had been postponed for a third time. And to get into a conversation about that is Barnaba Korir, who's a member of the Athletics Kenya Executive Committee. And let's get into a conversation with him. He's speaking to us via Zoom from Eldoret. And a very good morning to you, Barnaba.
Good morning to you too.
And first of all, I think on Wednesday when we got onto that little chart about the message that came through from the Confederation of African Athletics about the postponement for the third time of the Africa Cross Country Championships, the reaction from the federation.
Yes, thank you, Wahome. I think it was the the most unfortunate news that we received. In fact, we were not aware of the news until I received from KBC that the cross country has been postponed yet again. And the federation, the president of Athletics Kenya was not aware, but of course we took it in stride. It was postponed last year. And due to COVID-19, the continuous increase, I think they found it wise that they postponed it. But it is unfortunate for our athletes. They were ready, and going by the trials that we had in Nairobi, they were in high spirits. They had already started training in Embu, and of course now we had to cancel them to talk to them so that they can really understand what is going on. But it is really bad, but they are really at least understanding what the problem is going on in the world now.
I think on that Wednesday is when I think the team had received their allowances and the kitting was to be done on Thursday, which means that the team that traveled there had to deliver a different message. What was the first reaction from the athletes in camp and the message that was passed through by the Vice President of Athletics Kenya, Mr. Mutui, who's also the Director of Competitions?
Yes, the director of competition, the vice president, Mr. Mutui, was also in Embu to give them the allowances and also the equipment. But also he was not aware until he came back, and we had to send some people also the next day to inform our athletes. They are still in the camp, and we are now organizing to terminate that camp because we were hoping that another country, that country would come to rescue or to salvage the event. We are still waiting communication from our president, Retired General Tuwei, to tell us exactly if there's been any country or a third country that can come and rescue this event. If not, then the athletes will have to come and go home and wait for any other information that might come out of this paperwork.
Now, when it comes to organizing an Africa cross-country championships in coronavirus times, it's very difficult because you could give some insights into the protocols that had been put out by Togo for teams that were going to participate at the event, and if they were to be used in another country, say, for example, if Ethiopia or Kenya decide to bid to host the event.
Yes, for those an event, you require time, and normally, there is always a plan B in case there is an emergency from the hosting country. But apparently, it looks like we didn't have any, and Ethiopia would have been ready, also Kenya. But of course, we did not get information on time, so it is almost impossible now to really ask the government to salvage the situation. But in the future, I think the Confederation of Athletics in Africa should look into issues that concern competitions. We don't want to be really having a situation where we don't have proper coordination in Africa. And of course, when it comes to West Africa, athletics is not as strong as in East Africa. So the decision makers should really come from either Uganda, Ethiopia, Tanzania, or Kenya, or even South Africa, so that we focus on the issues of athletics, mainly to assist our athletes and make sure that competitions also grow in our African continent.
Now, and this means now that for the athletes, when it comes to this season, what happens to the likes of, Kibiwa Kandie and Ronex, all those who are looking forward to represent the country? And if they break camp, means that if they're to join the track and field series, they would have to join at the second or third event. What's the impact of this?
Hello.
Hello, yes. The impact of breaking camp, what's the impact of this on an athlete's calendar? Because for some of them, they've had to cancel other engagements that they may have had so that they can don Kenyan colors.
I think I'm not getting you clearly. There's a break in connection. Can you repeat it again?
Okay, let me repeat that question again. What is the impact of the cancellation of the Africa Cross Country Championships to the planning of events by athletes and their representatives?
It's really unfortunate that the connection here is really bad. It is breaking again, and I cannot get you clearly.
Okay, we will try and get your connection correct, but the story that we are trying to get from Barnaba Korir is the impact of the cancellation of the Africa Cross Country Championships that have been postponed for the third time. The first time that the Africa Cross Country Championships were postponed was last year, and this was because Togo were holding their presidential elections. So a request was made to the Confederation of African Athletics so that they postponed the events. And then the coronavirus pandemic, it hit Africa, and that meant that there was a lot of restriction of movement, and that the event could not be held, and it was put back by a year. It was supposed to take place on the weekend of the 6th and 7th of March. And then again on Wednesday, communication coming in from CAA that Togo said, we've got a coronavirus situation in the country and we cannot risk the lives of athletes. And so, Mr. Korir, I hope if you can get it, let me ask this question again. What's the impact when it comes to event planning for athletes and their representatives?
First of all, the impact is devastating because most of our athletes also depend on their earnings through competitions. An event like the African Cross Country would have given the athletes an opportunity to earn something and also to launch, especially the new athletes, to launch their careers from the competitions. And when you look at the races that were cancelled last year, it really affected our athletes, competitions. We started well this year, and then all of a sudden, almost all the races have been cancelled. There are no marathon competitions this April and until October. So you can imagine the impact that has on our athletes. The competitions that we have over the weekends in Kenya here, you saw last weekend we had the 2-day competitions on Saturday and Sunday, and the turnout was high, and our athletes are doing very well. It shows also that even though our athletes are training very hard and they're in shape, unfortunately, they don't get enough competitions to support them, especially those who may not be having employment. And it has been really having a very difficult period for our athletes, and we hope that maybe this will change in due course. Although you can see now there's some rise in the COVID-19 in some areas. So in Europe there are no races. In Africa, you see now there are no coordinated events that go on, especially in West African region. We have some events going on in Tanzania. Very little in Ethiopia, none in Uganda, and of course in Kenya it's only the weekend meeting. So we can only say that at the moment we request even the sponsors in this country to give more support to the events locally, so that at least our athletes can earn something that can sustain them until the time comes for them.
Now let's move on to something else. Part of the team that was to travel to Togo was the under-18 side. So you've got the boys team that was to go to run 6 kilometers. Then you've got the girls team running 5 kilometers. Tell us about the introduction of this age grade event, considering that at a global stage, the only time you'd see under-18 events would be the Youth Olympics.
Yes, unfortunately, World Athletics changed the strategy. They canceled the events of World Under-18, and that was actually the point where we introduced our young athletes to competition. But in Africa, at least CAS saw it important that we continue with such events, and that's why we had the African Under-18 and Under-20 together. So that we keep encouraging our young athletes to continue training, and they have some competitions also to launch their career through the Under-18, Under-20, and eventually transition to the seniors. So it is equally important that we continue doing that to the grassroots, to build kids athletics, and then eventually Under-18, Under-20, and then transit to the seniors, especially in Africa. It's part of the development of athletics in our continent.
And over the weekend, we had the first Athletics Kenya track and field meeting, and a new challenge is arising now. And considering that Nyanza North was to host this meeting, so first we had the Jaramogi Oginga Odinga University declining, Maseno University declining before bringing it to Nyayo. What are the plans now going forward? Do you have the Nyayo National Stadium as a home for the next 3 meetings, or are you looking at, for example, Embu, which is supposed to host the next track and field meeting?
We have had a discussion with the executive, especially with the AGA president, and so many other considerations that we have to look into now. One, we have to also look at the spread of COVID-19 and see the impact on our athletes. Two, we have to look at the stadiums. You know, most of our stadiums are under renovation, and you can see that we have to also consider the athletes in case of if the stadiums are not ready. If you see Maseno, the field, even if it was ready, was not good for our athletes to compete in. So it brings us back now to the challenges athletes are facing, not only athletes but also other sportsmen and women in this country, where our stadiums are not really ready. They're under renovation, although some of them have been under renovation for the last 5 years or more. And it's really unfortunate that although the government is trying its best, that we are still behind in that. So what we decided, or what we are thinking of doing, is that we bring back all the events, weekend meetings to Nairobi, to ensure that at least that Nyayo Stadium we have the tartan. Our athletes have also infrastructure and also equipment that they will use in that competition. We have the field events, we have the sprinters, and they have practically everything, and then officials also will guide them. And I think the best way that we can gather for their interest at the moment is let them, just all of them, compete in Nyayo, so that they can also have proper timing. We have an electronic timing machine that is working now, so that in case they qualify, then it can be certified to participate during the Olympics. So those are the things that we are considering, and I'm sure that the AGA president will announce soon that all the meets should be held in Nairobi, at least for the time being. And I hope that the regions will understand the reasons why we are doing that.
All right, Barnaba Korir, he's a member of the Athletics Kenya Executive Committee. Mr. Korir, just hold on for some time, but now we move over to Parliament buildings, where the Speaker of the National Assembly, the Honourable Justin Muturi, is leading the process for the signing of performance contracts by staff of the Parliamentary Service Commission.
Who is acting executive director of IHRM, who have led this consultancy that is culminating in the auspicious event that we have today. As consultancies go, I think I have to say that we have worked well with IHRM, and I am confident that when she comes to speak, she will confirm that there were no phone calls from the Office of the Secretary or any other interference in the prosecution of this very important task. But I want to express a singular gratitude at the level of cooperation that we have enjoyed working with this very professional outfit of Ms. Irene Kimashia and her team. Mr. Chairman, with your permission, allow me then to call Ms. Irene Kimashia to come and make a few remarks. Thank you very much, sir.
I beg your guidance, Chair. Do I speak from here?
Those are pictures coming to you from Parliament buildings where the staff of the Parliamentary Service Commission are going to be at the National Assembly chambers, and they are there so that they can sign their performance contracts, and this is happening right now. We will be going back to the National Assembly chambers when the Speaker of the National Assembly, who is also the Chair of the Parliamentary Service Commission, will be speaking. So we get back into a conversation around athletics and some things that we'd like to mention coming into the year 2021. And Poland is going to be hosting the World Relays event. And Kenya is going to be doing the trials on the 27th of March, and that's going to take place at the Nyayo National Stadium. And Barnaba Korir, who's a member of the Athletics Kenya Executive, is on Zoom speaking to us from Eldoret. And from the 3 meetings that you've held so far around the relays, what has been the learning experience for the athletes?
Well, you know, the last 3 meetings has been especially for the sprinters. It has given them opportunity to compete and weigh their performance after the preparation. And I think if you look at their performances and the timings that have come out in the last meetings, they are doing very well. And in fact, I was very surprised the way their performance. I was expecting maybe they would have problems because last year they did not have any other competitions that could measure their performance. Going by the results of the weekend meetings, I would confidently say that there's no difference now, despite the COVID-19, from the period that they were free training and without any restrictions. You realize that they are even running, others are running faster now, maybe because they have rested enough and turning in good times. So when we go for the trials, for selecting the team to compete during the World Relays in Poland, I think we have a big opportunity to have good times that will allow our athletes to be given a chance or the lens to compete in Poland.
Well, talking about the relays, is that the 4x400 meter relay team has not been at a globe event for quite some time. And the reason is the entry criteria that is used now by World Athletics for such competitions, whether be the World Championships or the Olympics, is the top 8 at the World Relays that happens just before that championships, or if you're in the top 16 in the world, which means just another 8 teams that are selected. How much is being done, for example, to see that Kenya gets back into that event, considering that Kenya has been an Olympic champion 1972 and also a silver that was won in 1968?
I think at least Kenya is currently focusing on the sprinters to ensure that they have all the equipment necessary, technical know-how, and the support that they require for preparation. Today, we have selected a team of 24 athletes that will be reporting to Kasarani Stadium to start preparation for the competition on 27th of this month. So we have plans and strategies on how we can improve that. If you look back 2 years ago when they were running in Asaba, Nigeria, they actually qualified, but unfortunately, the track that they were using was not certified by World Athletics, and therefore they did not make it to World Championship because of that problem that they had there. We have the athletes that are capable of running faster. The only thing that we require, as I've always we have always said in Athletics Kenya, is that if we can get the technical equipment, the timing machines, and also technical know-how. Our athletes are capable of doing that, and of course, if we get the support from the government, because it is quite expensive to procure equipment that our athletes should be using, especially sprinters and.
Okay.
In 1968, did very well in 1972. I don't see the reason why we cannot do it now. So it's just a matter of focus and ensuring that the athletes get the support that they require to attain the minimum standards for the Olympics.
Now, the plans for this, as per World Athletics, as the team prepares to go to Poland, to Silesia, Poland, for this event that will take place in early May, what are the plans for the relay team? Could they be invited to meetings around where they could meet some of the best in Africa? You could be thinking about Nigerians, athletes from Botswana, and also our friends Uganda, who seem to be rising quite fast.
Yes, as I said before, Athletics Kenya has put structures in place to ensure that we have countries coming into Kenya. We have invited Botswana, Tanzania, Uganda, Ethiopia to attend the meetings on the 27th to compete with our athletes. So those are in place, and for our team to qualify and the times to be accepted, we have to have a minimum of 3 countries participating, and we have invited those countries. In fact, this morning, we received a call from Tanzania that their teams are ready, and they're going to send their names for registration so that we have a credible competition that, in case our athletes qualify, will be certified by World Athletics.
Now, we also have got quite the African Championships that will be taking place in Algeria. The process for selecting the team, and also considering that we're going to have the Olympics in July and August. How much participation of the A-list athletes would you like to see in Algeria? Because previously you've seen some athletes will say, let me not look at the African Championships and focus on the money circuit, or if it's a year where there is a World Championships or a Commonwealth Games, focus on that.
Our athletes now have come to understand the importance of developing our own sports structures and systems in our regions, especially East African region, West African region, and South African region. So when we request the athletes to take part in international, not international competition, African competitions, like the African Senior Championship that will be in June, it is important for them that we elevate such competitions to international status, so that when they compete, they are able also to get support from the sponsors. They can also win big prize money, and to develop also the systems that will encourage competitions in Africa. When you look back now that Europe closed their borders because of COVID-19, our athletes could not travel to the US. Our athletes could not also go to Asian countries because of the COVID-19. Then it comes now to realization that, yes, it is time that we see also our regions, our continent, to develop also and encourage sports promotion, so that they have competitions within localities. And in case of a problem, they can still compete and earn a living through those competitions, instead of waiting only European and American races. So they have understood. To championship, our elite athletes will have to participate, and we will require them to be there to ensure that athletes by their participation.
Now, this is a year for the World Under-20 Championships. Kenya was to host the event last year, but it was postponed by World Athletics due to the coronavirus pandemic situation across the world. Sport is now learning how to manage this. It is leading the way. Actually, I've got to say that. It's the one thing that, everybody said, sport is dead, but they found a way. Kenya's plans for hosting this event in August, including preparations for Team Kenya.
As you realize that, I can start with Team Kenya. Last year, we were supposed to have the competition on 20 July. It was postponed because of the reasons we all know. And until now, this year, we are going to have it from the 17th to 22nd of August. Our athletes continue to train. We went around to make sure that the camps they were in, we gave them the support that was necessary. And in November last year, we had a test event for those athletes that were in the camps, and we were very happy with the turnout, happy with the performance. It was very good. So it's a continuation. We also saw most of the athletes that will try to qualify for the World Under 20 in August competing during the National Cross Country Championship, and they did extremely well. We are now going to follow them with the weekend meetings, and in April, we have them in several camps to ensure that they continue their training. So it's not a worry for us because we continued the preparation, we supported them, we were in contact with them throughout the year, and we continue doing that at the moment. The only weakness that we might have is, of course, as usual, the field events and maybe the sprints. Otherwise, the middle and long distance, we have confidence that we are going to do well.
Mr. Barnaba Korir, who is a member of the Athletics Kenya Executive Committee, speaking to us for Eldoret. Thank you very much for your time this